policy of this country. And right now, the United States, unfortunately, especially mainly the government, is really concerned about the Middle East. And the number one reason, or the number one, of course, many of you know the main reason, which is money, oil, and political influence. And in order for them to justify these wars, in order for them to justify or legitimize their wars and their hegemony against the people overseas, the Muslim countries, they need to create that common enemy. Because if you don't have that common enemy for your society will eventually start thinking about issues. And as we see, there's issues of women, issues of gender, issues of classes, issues of colors. There's a lot of issues in this country. And number one, to make sure that those issues don't surface, is to create that common enemy, so you can fear or make actually people fear that enemy. And you do it in a way where you desensitize people against the casualties that you cause because of your wars. 1 million people, more than 1 million people died in Iraq because of the U.S. war. But nobody in the public, the American public, talks about that, because to them, as long as the gas is cheap, I'm happy. As long as I don't have to pay so much money for the gas, it's fine. Why? Because we are, as Americans, desensitized against any foreign casualties that occur overseas. And of course, part of that is being fearful of these individuals and these humans, and feel that these humans are not to worry about, because they are less of humans than who we are. Now, if you put that again and connect it, as I said, I want you to think about it as a matrix. If you put that again into the concept of mainstream media, it's really, the whole concept of Islamophobia is really internalized in the system. It's internalized in the government, internalized in the public and private sectors. So the media utilizes that with the help of corporations, because as I said before, the country, especially the foreign policy of this country, is influenced pretty much by corporations. And this is why we have lobbying in the Congress, because the organizations and corporations want to make sure that they're making money. So in order for them to make money, they have to lobby for their own acts, or for their own bills to be passed in Congress. So mainstream media picks up that, and it works in a smart way to dehumanize and normalize the idea of bigotry, and that the Muslims are, and to, of course, to normalize the idea that Muslims are inferior to us. And when you make that assumption, when you make that, when you create that rhetoric, you internalize and you make people unconsciously believe that these people are less of a human than myself. To believe that the human value of them is less than me, and I feel that I'm better than them, and to me, they are nothing but numbers. To me, nothing but assets for me to have a more luxurious life. This is how is it being put. Of course, it's not as simple as this. They don't come to the TV and tell you, you know what, Muslims are animals, we should, just murder all of them. They don't tell you that. On the contrary, they make it sound as if they are objective. They make it sound as if we are into diversity, into tolerance, and we want to expand globally and expand the concept of globalization. But again, the whole concept of globalization, as I said, is really to expand the areas of influence of these multinational corporations that really thrive on blood and war. Now, again, the concept or the rhetoric of bigotry and dehumanization, and here again, the idea of dehumanization is very important, because it really means that you take the face out of anybody and you make it just as numbers. So when you say dehumanize somebody, it's like you are treating with that as a body without a soul, without a story, without a life, without a name. And this is very important. And if you noticed in the media, and alhamdulillah, and again, and I said it today in the khutbah, if it was not for our communities pressuring mainstream media, would have never dreamed to get a little bit of a better coverage later on, because they felt that, of course, number one hashtag on Twitter was for Chapel Hill shooting. A lot of people were talking about it 24 hours. So I think, alhamdulillah, our community worked had a big role in making the media and forcing the media to really to cover a little bit more. But if it was before the pressure, they really were talking about it just as another number. Just as if, more people are dying, and we don't have to worry about them because they're not concerned. So that rhetoric of being superior to people, that comes with American exceptionalism, becomes or is created to not only create fear, but to make subliminally, in a way that is subliminal and unconsciously, makes slaughtering people not only acceptable, but also cheerful. And if you guys notice, and many of you saw tweets about this the criminal being celebrated as a hero. Facebook page was created with his name. So a lot of people were calling him hero. Why? Because he killed Muslims execution style. Nobody can question or debate the atrocity or the barbaric way that he killed these people, regardless of their religion. But he was celebrated. Why? Because too many people, out of ignorance, they felt as if they accomplished something because we got rid of the devil. We got rid of these demons, the so-called Muslims that are being demonized and dehumanized every day in the TV. So this is very important to understand. And finally, I'll end with this, inshallah. We really have to hold our politicians accountable. 24 hours we keep saying vote, 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 vote. But what is voting doing to us? Is it really helping or leveraging or advancing our community? Unfortunately, until today, no. Because if you take an example of that Texas congresswoman who said and who protested for Muslims to visit the Congress, and she said they need to prove their Americanism first. They need to pledge allegiance to this country first. So we are treated as a fifth column, as an enemy, as a spy that don't belong to this society. So that